They mocked the farmer's daughter, but her first shot made the champion look foolish. Some victories are seen by thousands. Some happen quietly where no one expects them. This is the story of Emily Carter, a girl no one believed in, a girl mocked for her old boots and worn rifle, until the first shot she fired changed everything. What began as humiliation would soon turn into a fight for something much greater than trophies, a fight for survival, strength, in the unlocking of true potential. There were places where you were expected to fail, not because you were weak, not because you were unskilled, but because of who you were or who you were not. Emily Carter knew this the moment she set foot on the polished grounds of the National Shooting Arena. It was the biggest tournament of the season. Invitations were sent only to the best and the rich. She had neither wealth nor a famous coach behind her, just a letter she earned the hard way and a rifle older than most of the competitors around her. The stares started the moment she crossed the gates. Her boots were muddy from the morning rain. Her jeans were torn at the knee. Her jacket, the same one she wore for years, was faded and patched at the elbow. Worse yet, her rifle, a bolt-action Remington from the 1970s, looked laughable next to the sleek, customized models polished to a mirror shine. Whispers followed her steps. Who let her in? Look at that gun. Must have found it in a scrapyard. Maybe she's the janitor's daughter. Emily kept her head high. She knew better than to waste strength on anger. It wasn't the first time the world judged her by her boots, and it wouldn't be the last. The competition grounds were sprawling, rows of carefully aligned targets stretching hundreds of meters into the mist. Observation towers, judges in white uniforms, spectators with expensive cameras whispering and pointing. In the center of it all stood Tyler Grant, champion of 3 consecutive seasons. National darling, sharp smile, sharper tongue. He spotted Emily almost immediately. Walking toward her with casual arrogance, Tyler tilted his head, looking her up and down as if inspecting an old tool. You lost, sweetheart? He asked, voice carrying enough for those around to hear and snicker. Emily met his gaze. Just waiting for my turn, she said simply. Tyler laughed, the sound cutting through the cool morning air. Make it quick, he said, so the real competition can start. Emily waited through the first rounds, watching others perform. Shots cracked like drum beats. Expensive scopes glinted in the sunlight, each competitor stepping up with the confidence of someone who believed the world owed them applause. When her name was finally called, there was no polite silence. There was laughter, the kind meant to break someone before they even lifted their rifle. Emily stepped up to the firing line. The official in charge gave her a long, skeptical look before nodding curtly. 50 meters, 5 shots, clean targets. She nodded once, tightened her grip, and loaded her first round. Somewhere behind her, Tyler's voice drifted across the field. Maybe she'll hit the dirt before she hits the target. More laughter. Emily tuned it out. She heard only her breathing, the slight scrape of her boot on the gravel, the wind moving through the flags. She raised her rifle, focused, and fired. The first shot struck the bullseye dead center. The red marker on the electronic board flashed immediately. Perfect score. The laughter faltered. Emily didn't pause. Second shot. Center again. A third. Fourth. Each bullet punched into the same small circle, carving a path so precise it looked impossible. By the time she fired her 5th shot, the field had gone silent. Only the final score flickered above her in large, undeniable letters. 50 points out of 50. New preliminary record. No one laughed now. Spectators craned their necks. Judges exchanged glances. Competitors shifted uncomfortably in their expensive boots. Tyler Grant's face tightened, but he forced a lazy smile. Lucky, he said, loud enough for her to hear. Emily stepped away from the line, rifle slung over her shoulder, face calm. Luck had nothing to do with it, and Tyler Grant would find that out soon enough. The tournament official approached her after the round, clipboard in hand. Miss Carter, he said, clearing his throat awkwardly. You've qualified for the exhibition match. Exhibition, she asked. He nodded grimly. A head-to-head duel, he said, against Tyler Grant. The words hit the air like a stone in water. Gasps, whispers, everyone turning to stare. Emily's fingers tightened around the worn leather strap of her rifle. This wasn't just a match. It was a challenge, a trap, an opportunity, all at once. That night, Emily sat alone at the edge of the practice fields. The stars blinked coldly overhead. Her hands ached from the day's work. Her muscles were sore. She could have gone back home, walked away, saved herself from the humiliation they were surely planning, but instead she cleaned her rifle carefully, as she had done 1,000 times before. Because tomorrow wasn't about proving herself to Tyler Grant. or to the judges, or to the crowd. Tomorrow was about proving something to herself, that she belonged here, that she had always belonged here, even if it took a single bullet at a time. The next morning, the arena was packed. News had spread fast. The unknown girl with the battered rifle would face Tyler Grant in a live duel. No one wanted to miss it. Spectators filled the bleachers. Officials lined the perimeter. Cameramen jockeyed for position, adjusting their lenses toward the field. At the center stood two firing lanes, side by side. Tyler was already there, stretching lazily, pretending not to watch Emily as she approached. He wore a sleek black shooting jacket, spotless boots, and a rifle so polished it could have reflected the sky. Every part of him screamed control, confidence, dominance. Emily's jacket was still the same patched one. Her jeans were still worn. Her rifle, the same old Remington. And yet, as she stepped onto the lane, there was a steadiness to her that even Tyler couldn't quite mock. He smirked anyway. "Try not to cry when you miss," he said, loading his first round. Emily said nothing. She simply checked the chamber, clicked the bolt forward, and raised her rifle. The rules were announced. 3 shots each, alternating turns. Closest grouping to the exact center wins. It sounded simple. It was not. Precision under pressure was a different kind of battlefield. One where nerves, not bullets, decided the outcome. Tyler won the coin toss. He chose to go second. A strategic move, watch her, intimidate her, or so he thought. Emily stepped up first. The official counted down. 3, 2, 1, fire. Her body moved as if on instinct. The first shot cracked the silence. Perfect center. No hesitation. The official glanced at the monitor, eyebrows rising slightly. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Emily reloaded. Second shot. Another perfect mark, barely a millimeter from the first. No adjustment needed. Third shot. Clean, dead center. 3 holes so tightly grouped they almost became one. Emily lowered her rifle and stepped back without a word. Tyler's easy smile wavered for the first time. Still, he shrugged it off and took position. 3, 2, 1, fire. First shot. It struck well, close to center, but not perfect. A few polite claps. Second shot. Slightly better, but tension crept into his posture. The crowd shifted uneasily. They could feel it too. Third shot. Good, very good, but not flawless. When the scores appeared on the giant screen, the numbers told the story simply. Emily Carter, 3 perfect 10s. Tyler Grant, 3 8s. No debate. No second chances. Victory, absolute, undeniable. For a heartbeat, the entire arena was frozen. Then the cheers broke loose, loud and wild. Some clapped because they loved an underdog story. Some because they couldn't believe what they had seen. And some because, deep down, they understood. They had just witnessed the arrival of someone unstoppable. Emily stood quietly, rifle slung over her shoulder, eyes steady as she accepted the roar of the crowd without flinching. Across the field, Tyler Grant pulled off his gloves slowly, looking down at them as if they had betrayed him. He walked toward her. Emily tensed, ready for anything. But when he reached her, Tyler extended his hand stiffly. "You're good," he said, voice low, tight with something he wasn't used to feeling. "Respect." Emily shook his hand, firmly, without hesitation. After the match, everything changed. Scouts from elite programs pushed through the crowd to speak with her. Coaches scribbled her name into their notebooks. Journalists whispered into phones, scrambling to find out where she came from, who trained her, why no one had heard of her before. She answered their questions with polite, clipped words, offering no more than necessary. Because deep inside, Emily knew. The tournament was over, but the real test was only beginning. That night, while others celebrated in bright lounges and polished hotel lobbies, Emily packed her bag quietly in the small shared dormitory they had given the lower-ranked competitors. A knock sounded at her door. She opened it to find a man in a simple gray jacket, no badges, no fancy titles. Only sharp eyes and a firm posture that told her everything she needed to know. "Emily Carter?" he asked. She nodded. "My name is Samuel Briggs. I represent the Ascend program." She blinked. Everyone in the shooting world knew that name. The Ascend program was whispered about. A place where raw talent was forged into something more. Where champions were not just born, but made. A place harder than any tournament. More grueling than any competition. Samuel smiled slightly, seeing the understanding dawn in her eyes. "We'd like to offer you a spot," he said. "No promises, no trophies yet. Just a chance." Emily stared at him for a long moment. She thought about the mud on her boots, the laughter she had heard when she first arrived, the weight of the rifle across her back. Then she extended her hand. I'm ready, she said. Samuel's smile widened. I hope so, he said, because this was the easy part. The plane took off just after dawn. Emily sat by the window, her battered bag under the seat, the worn strap of her rifle case clutched tightly in one hand. Below, the city shrank into a patchwork of gray and green. Ahead, clouds stretched like endless fields of mist. She had said yes without hesitation. But now, flying toward an unknown destination, toward the Ascend program, Emily felt the weight of the unknown settle on her chest. There would be no crowds here, no cheering fans, no second chances, only the test of what she truly was. The training complex was hidden deep in the mountains, a fortress built from concrete and discipline. High walls, guard towers, no banners, no logos, no comfort. When the transport van rolled through the heavy iron gates, Emily caught glimpses of others already training, running obstacle courses, crawling under barbed wire, carrying heavy packs through mud-soaked fields. The air smelled of sweat, oil, and determination. Samuel Briggs greeted her at the entrance. Welcome to your real education, he said simply. No handshake this time. No warm smiles. Just a clipboard shoved into her hands and a curt order. Follow the red line. The first week broke people. Not everyone, but enough. They started with 30 candidates. By the end of the first 7 days, there were 21. Every morning began before dawn. A 10-kilometer run with full gear. Tactical shooting under exhaustion. Memory drills after sleepless nights. Hand-to-hand combat against partners twice their size. It was not just about being fast or accurate. It was about staying sharp when every muscle screamed for rest. About thinking clearly when the mind begged for silence. About enduring. Emily struggled. There were moments when her legs buckled under her, when her hands shook so badly she could barely reload, when the instructors barked orders inches from her face, daring her to quit. Some did, packed their bags in the middle of the night and disappeared without a word. Emily stayed, not because it was easy, but because the stubborn, burning fire inside her refused to be snuffed out. She wasn't the strongest. That was a girl named Sarah, a former national sprinter. She wasn't the fastest shot. That was a boy named Malik, who could reload faster than some people blinked. But Emily was something rarer. She was consistent. Every day, every trial, every blow, she showed up. Bleeding sometimes, limping sometimes, but always finishing. And slowly the instructors noticed. After the first month, a new phase began. Pair trials. Each candidate was assigned a partner, forced to work together to solve complex tactical challenges. Failures were punished harshly. Extra runs, double shifts, isolation drills. Emily was paired with someone she had not seen coming. Tyler Grant. He stood across from her on the dusty training yard, his hair cropped short now, his once perfect uniform as worn and battered as hers. He gave her a lopsided smile, a hint of the old arrogance still lingering. But something else too. Respect. I guess we're stuck with each other, he said. Seems that way, Emily answered, adjusting the strap of her gear. Their first task was brutal. Navigate a mock battlefield, retrieve a coded message under simulated fire, and return within 30 minutes. Malik and Sarah finished first, all speed and noise. Emily and Tyler moved slower, smarter. They covered each other's backs, communicated without shouting, trusted instincts, not just plans. They made it back just in time, breathless, muddy, bruised, but with the intact message in hand. Samuel Briggs nodded once at the result. Not bad, he said. Not good enough yet, but not bad. Nights were the hardest. After lights out in the shared barracks, exhaustion pressed down like a second skin. Emily often lay awake, staring at the cracked ceiling, muscles aching, mind racing. She thought about quitting sometimes, the easy way out, the warm lie of good enough. But every time the thought crept in, she remembered that first shot back at the tournament. The moment the laughter stopped, and she turned over, closed her eyes and forced herself to dream of something more. Not trophies, not medals, but becoming someone she could be proud of. Someone unbreakable. By the end of the second month, only 13 candidates remained. Their bodies were leaner, their faces sharper. The program had stripped away everything unnecessary: vanity, fear, weakness, leaving behind something hard, honed, and ready. One evening, after a brutal navigation trial that left them limping back to base, Tyler sat next to Emily on the cold stone steps outside the mess hall. You know, he said, breaking the silence, I used to think winning meant beating people like you. She looked at him, curious. And now, she asked. Tyler shrugged, staring out into the darkness. Now I think winning means standing next to people like you. For the first time, Emily allowed herself a small smile. Not victory. Not yet. But something real. Something earned. And tomorrow the real trials would begin. The ones that went beyond guns and scores. The ones that would test their very survival. It was no longer about how fast you could run or how straight you could shoot. It was about who you became when everything familiar was stripped away. After 3 months in the Ascend program, Emily Carter stood at a crossroads she hadn't seen coming, and the choice she had to make would change her forever. The first sign was the new instructor, Major Elias Ward. He arrived one morning without warning. No introductions, no ceremony. Tall, built like a cliff, eyes that saw through lies before they were spoken. He stood in front of the remaining candidates, 12 now, and spoke with a voice that didn't need to rise to be heard. From this point forward, and he said, you are no longer training to win competitions. A pause, a heavy silence. You are training for operations where second place means death. Some of the candidates exchanged uncertain glances. Tyler stood stiffly beside Emily, jaw tight. Your targets will not be stationary, Ward continued. They will move, hide, shoot back. Some will beg, some will lie. You will be judged not only by your aim, but by your decisions under pressure. He took a step closer, boots crunching the gravel. And if you fail, a small cold smile. You will wish you hadn't. The first new test was called the corridor, a maze of narrow paths, dim lighting, flashing sounds, built to confuse and break focus. Targets appeared suddenly. Some were marked enemy, some civilian, some unknown. Every wrong choice cost points. Every hesitation cost time. Every mistake burned into the candidate's record. Emily moved through the first run with her heart hammering against her ribs. Twice she hesitated. Once she almost fired on a target marked civilian, a boy carrying something metallic. Instinct had saved her. Barely. When she stumbled out of the exit, panting, Samuel Briggs met her with a clipboard. Acceptable, he said flatly, but only just. Emily wiped sweat from her eyes. She knew she had survived this round, but barely. The second test was worse. It wasn't shooting. It wasn't running. It was decisions. Each candidate was brought into a small, sterile room, given a headset. A scenario played out through speakers. Urgent voices, gunfire, civilians screaming, conflicting orders. At certain moments, the voice in the headset asked questions. Who do you save? Who do you abandon? When do you shoot without confirmation? There were no right answers, only consequences. Emily's hands trembled slightly as she listened. The boy from the corridor, the mother shielding her child, the teammate calling for backup. Every choice felt like betrayal. When it ended, the room was so silent she could hear the blood roaring in her ears. Outside, Samuel and Major Ward waited. They didn't congratulate her. They didn't even look at her, only checked a box on a thick file and moved to the next candidate. That night, Tyler found her sitting alone by the abandoned firing range. He didn't say anything at first, just sat down heavily beside her, their shoulders almost touching. In the darkness, the old Emily, the girl who had just wanted a fair shot at a tournament, felt distant, like a story someone else had lived. This isn't what I thought it would be, Tyler said finally. Emily didn't answer, because she wasn't sure if she agreed or disagreed. Part of her hated what the program was becoming, the harshness, the suspicion it bred. But another part understood. The world outside wasn't fair. And maybe, just maybe, this was the only way to survive it. 2 days later, the candidates faced the elimination trial. No teams, no guidance, one objective: infiltrate a hidden site, retrieve an intelligence package, and extract. Alone, failure meant removal from the program. No second chances. The night before the trial, Samuel called the candidates together. He looked more tired than Emily had ever seen him. You didn't come here to be comfortable, he said. You came to become something the world has too few of. He looked around the room, faces drawn, eyes shadowed. Tomorrow, he said, you either earn your place or you don't. The trial was brutal. A freezing river crossing, razor wire hidden under leaves, simulated enemy patrols with paintball rounds that left brutal, aching bruises. Emily moved slowly but steadily. She used every lesson she'd learned: patience over speed, calm over fear, precision over noise. 3 hours later, soaked, scraped, and bleeding from a deep cut on her arm, she staggered into the extraction zone with the package secured. Tyler was already there, crouched against a wall, cradling a bloodied shoulder. They exchanged exhausted smiles. They had made it. At final review, Major Ward announced the results. 9 candidates remained. Emily Carter was among them. No longer an outsider, no longer a curiosity, a survivor. And as she stood with the others, listening to the final orders, she realized something deep and chilling. This wasn't the end of her journey. It was just the doorway into a world even fewer would ever see. And from here on out, there would be no map. Only the strength she built herself. The ceremony was held at sunset. No medals, no ribbons, no cheering crowds. Only a simple gathering in the courtyard. The last 9 candidates standing shoulder to shoulder, dirt still fresh on their boots, bruises not yet healed. Major Ward addressed them in a voice as rough as the stones under their feet. "You are no longer candidates," he said. "You are assets." There was no pride in the word, only responsibility. Behind Ward stood a row of men and women Emily had never seen before. Faces lined with experience, sharp eyes measuring every movement. They were not instructors, not scouts, not even soldiers in the traditional sense. They belonged to something quieter, something far more dangerous. After the ceremony, Samuel Briggs pulled Emily aside. He handed her a small envelope, sealed with plain wax. "This isn't an assignment," he said. "It's an offer." Emily turned it over in her hands. No logos, no instructions. Only a single word stamped into the thick paper. "Initiate." Samuel's voice softened slightly. "You proved you can endure," he said. "Now you have to decide if you're willing to disappear." Emily met his gaze. "You're saying I won't compete anymore?" He shook his head slowly. "You'll operate," he said, quietly, "where it matters. Real missions, real risks." He paused. "No fame, no glory, and no safety." That night, Emily sat alone on the edge of the cliff that overlooked the valley. The stars above were sharp and endless. The envelope lay unopened in her lap. She thought about the girl she had been not long ago, the one standing awkwardly at the firing line, boots muddy, jacket worn, heart full of silent defiance. She thought about Tyler Grant, now sitting somewhere behind these walls, likely making the same decision. About the faces of those who hadn't made it this far. About the feeling in her chest now. Not fear, not pride, but a strange, clear certainty. Victory had never been the goal. It had only been the door. When the first light of dawn broke across the mountains, Emily opened the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Coordinates, a date, and a time. No instructions beyond that. No promises. She folded it carefully, placed it inside her jacket, and stood up. Her muscles ached. Her hands were raw. Her body screamed for rest. But her heart beat strong and sure. She was ready. Not for medals, not for applause, for something greater, something that demanded everything she had and more. At the edge of the courtyard, Samuel waited beside a plain black vehicle. He nodded once at seeing her approach. "You're sure why?" he asked. Emily didn't hesitate. "Yes," she said. He opened the door for her. And without looking back, Emily Carter stepped forward into a future not many dared even to imagine. A future where every shot mattered, where every decision could save a life or end it, where strength was measured not in trophies but in resilience, loyalty, and unbreakable will. As the vehicle rolled down the narrow road, the valley swallowed behind them by mist and morning light, Emily closed her eyes for a moment and smiled, because the real journey was just beginning. And she was exactly where she was meant to be,